Hey everybody, Jason here, and I'm back with a look at Dynasty Warriors 9. This is the 9th numbered entry in the series, but there have actually been around 32,000 Dynasty Warriors games before this one. You can look it up. I'm a longtime fan of the series, and when I heard that this new one was going to shake up the tried and true formula, I was about half intrigued and about half worried. Because the core appeal of these games has always been that you can pick your favorite character and jump into just huge battles where you just completely destroy hundreds of enemies at a time. And they've played with that formula a little bit here and there. Sometimes they've added strategic management elements, and sometimes they've given new ways to equip and upgrade your heroes. But for the most part, each game in the series has stayed pretty true to the simple beat-em-up flow. And one of the critiques that people have had a lot has been that the game has not evolved enough, that it's been just the same game over and over. That's not the case here. All the trappings are still here in Dynasty Warriors 9, you still play through battles from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and you still beat up tons of guys, and you still get to listen to some pretty bizarre voice acting and out-of-place music.
Wow, that was awesome! I get worked up just watching you! Ooh.
But this time, you're dropped into an open world instead of picking missions from a list, and that really does change everything. The world of Dynasty Warriors 9 is huge, but it also feels really empty. You'll spend significantly more time running through big spaces of nothing to reach a mission objective than you'll actually spend fighting folks once you get where you're going. This is the series' first attempt at an open world, and it really feels a lot like the early days of open world games in general, where the concern was more on just being able to go anywhere rather than making sure there were interesting things to do along the way. The missions you get as you travel through the world are remarkably mundane. Most of them feel like MMO missions, and they have you doing things like collecting and delivering things, or killing a particular group of bad guys and then reporting back to an NPC. And it really doesn't take long for you to start going into the mode where you ignore the details of every little mission, and you'll just instead follow the arrow until you see somebody to fight or something to pick up, and then just sort of rinse and repeat. And when you complete those missions, you'll mostly be rewarded with experience points to help you level up, and then with crafting items. And that's another new thing that has a big focus. There is crafting in this game. You'll collect scrolls that act kind of like blueprints as you proceed through, and each of the scrolls lists the items you need to combine to make a particular item. And you can build everything from healing powders to equipable accessories and all sorts of stuff. You collect the ingredients for your scrolls as you roam through the world, and there are resources laying around everywhere. You can't take 3 steps without stumbling over something. And you just have to run over a rock or a piece of wood or a flower or something to pick it up and add it to your stockpile. Some of the other materials, like tiger claws and things like that, are gained through loot drops in combat. But once you have everything, you gather it all up and take it to an NPC in one of the towns to do the crafting for you. And unfortunately, as with the other open world elements, the crafting never really feels very engaging. And the lack of engagement also shows up in your leveling too. Each time you get enough XP to level up, you're rewarded with 3 skill points you can apply to any of your hero's attributes. You can level up things like your health, or attack, or defense, or stamina, or things like that. But the benefits you get from each level kind of feel minuscule. When you add your points into the attribute, it feels like you're not really moving the needle very much. And that's also the case when you equip attribute buffing items as well. It all feels very static, and there's not a lot of tangible progression for your character. The game seems to want you to focus on unlocking new characters for your real progression, and there are 90 different heroes in this game, and 7 of those are new ones that haven't shown up in any of the other Dynasty Warriors games before. But even when you do unlock new characters, it's just to drop them into the same empty open world to do the same things your previous character's already been doing. There is one area of change that did go in the right direction, though, and that's the combat. And that's arguably the core of every Dynasty Warriors game. It's still a button-mashing brawler that doesn't require much finesse, but this game has added some new trigger attacks that can set you up for juggle combos and other attacks that lend just a little more depth to the gameplay. Being able to do the button mashing and get your way through a bunch of enemies like that is one of the long-time appeals of the series, and you can still get through just about every fight that way. But even though the combat is enhanced a little bit, unfortunately you spend less actual time in this game fighting because you waste so much time just going from place to place and trying to make sense of your missions and items and upgrades. And that brings us to another problem that the revamp has introduced. Dynasty Warriors 9's UI and menu system are atrocious. The screen constantly is cluttered with icons and arrows and speech bubbles and text and numbers and maps, and sometimes there's so much junk popping up that it lays on top of each other on the screen. You can decipher what all the stuff means, but it's not at all easy or clear to decipher it quickly when you're in combat or just want to quickly consult the map or something. Dynasty Warriors 8 was one of the very best games in the series, and it's unfortunate that 9 has taken such a step backwards. This game is a prime example of bigger not always being better. Coming along with the open world and all the unnecessary crap that brings with it are a whole bunch of technical issues that seem like they're spreading across consoles and PC. I was playing on Xbox One X, and I personally didn't encounter a lot of the issues that I've seen other people having, but I did notice that the graphics do look very underwhelming on the Xbox One X, especially when you put them side by side with other open world games like Ghost Recon Wildlands and other games that really look spectacular. Dynasty Warriors 9 is a stumble for the series, but I have every confidence that there will be plenty more of these games coming up that can course correct where 9 went wrong. Until then, I'll probably be doing my base rating in one of the earlier installments. Thanks for watching, and please do subscribe and give me a like if you enjoyed the video. See you next time.
Blue among men, red hair among horses. That's him. Let's get out of here!